So this is the last time I'll speak on this, and wherever people want to take it from here, that's where they want to take it. And whatever you want to assume about the things that I'm going to say going forward, it's just what you're going to assume, and I'm not going to argue with people anymore. You're just going to see, as I've said, certain things. You got to be able to admit when you're wrong, humble yourself, and pray. But with all that being said, we have to understand, while we have earthly agendas, while we, have things that we want to do here, we also have to understand God's agenda. We have to understand the condition of the world and the time and now. That doesn't mean to shrink. As I've said, I've been learning this a lot more from different people. And actually, some of those people, I should have continued being connected with, in my opinion. But we have to understand that, just like during the times of COVID, that, a lot of things are going to change soon. The one thing that people don't understand about what, the president is trying to do, he's trying to keep a lot of things in, United States power. And I understand the mindset of people who support him, but at times I think it's blind support. And I'm asking you to hear me out regarding this. At times I believe that it's blind support with him. And, some will make the excuse that, okay, we're supposed to, pray for our leaders and different things like that. Praying for people, it's just like the people that you see or you think is the worst people and you praying for them, but you don't come in agreement with they sin. It's kind of like that, in my opinion. But people think praying for the president and also coming into agreement, lock and step with everything he's saying and what he's doing is the right move, and I don't think that's accurate. The reason being, and I'm going to give the reason why I made these statements. During the pandemic, I know people hate talking about this stuff. During the pandemic, you had President Biden saying certain things that people end up believing and they end up accepting, and that ended up people making whatever decision they end up making. For me, what I heard him say led me not to do it, just based on different things I was taught and whatnot and what have you. So, going with the current president, if we understand, because people will say they understand, but it's like, okay, well, because we can be critical of things that we don't like, or people that and I don't want to say don't like, because you don't know what's in a person's heart. So let me not accuse by saying people don't like each other. But it seems that people talk about certain things a lot more than what's actually going on. And as I've said, doo-doo flows downhill. So we got to understand the stuff at the top trickles down. And so the United States presidency, while a lot of Americans believe this, is not the highest office in the world. And I know people will act like, oh yeah, I knew that, but do you really know that? Because you act like this man is going to save us from everything, or, it'll take a whole nother president coming in to actually fulfill an antichrist agenda. And a lot of people, because, as I've said, of association with different people, people making false accusations about me, my motives about certain things, a whole bunch of things. A lot of information has been mixed up. And so some people have chose to band together for different reasons. Now, some of those reasons being valid, like a wounded animal, I needed healing because the way that I would direct my words at times wasn't cool. But I also felt those same arrows from other people, and it was constant. And in the beginning, being merciful, getting offline, crying, all of this stuff, it wasn't working. I get back online, the same thing ensued. Whether it was family, people I went to school with, whether it was other people in the faith. And so, I'm not trying to act like I've had it super hard, but what I'm saying is I've been through enough to have a certain understanding with my experience. And I got enough biblical knowledge because I've studied the Bible for myself. And while I have leaned to my understanding, God has been patient with me to allow me to absorb as much things as I can. And so even down, from recently, as I said, beautiful young lady from, no matter where she's from, she's been helping me out. And as I've said, I got, really strong feelings towards this person. And at a certain point, she may have thought that I was disagreeing with her because of her doctrine and different things. It was never about her doctrine. My issue at a particular point was I was already thinking so much and I was confused, and I didn't express myself properly to this person, which caused confusion at the time. I never thought that she was false or anything. Like she seemed too real, and what she was saying was authentic. But as I got frustrated with certain things, because I expected at some point, I'm like, somebody see me experiencing what I experienced, and it's like somebody has to help. But I had to come to terms with certain things. It's like, maybe that was just me, and it was me being wrong. And the things that happened last year, as I said, really changed my perspective on how I should view things. But it got me back into the place to where, okay, I definitely don't want to make that mistake again, even though I may or may not have already dealt with I've dealt with some consequences of it, but I may or may not, have finished out the consequences. But the whole point is, I had to experience all of that to get the knowledge that I have now to be able to express myself and try to express myself with as much humility as possible with all the different arrows coming at me. Now, because at times I could be talking to one person and then another person say something. Now I'm talking to that person, but now these two people think I'm both still talking to them. And that ain't the case. That has caused a lot of mix-up in the past. If I've said something about you, I've said it probably directly to you as well. Because I don't like holding stuff in. Like, I gotta express it. I gotta let people know how I feel about them. Even if it's kind of negative, like I gotta be like, hey, I ain't like how this happened. To try to get an understanding of, what's wrong. And so, as I've said before, man, I've also had to deal with a lot of different people trying to, instead of saying this or that is you or that is you, then it's everything by like a symbolic means. And this has really caused confusion, because at times the same people that's supposed to be helping me with these things, they haven't. It's like they'll see that I'm confused and that'll add more confusion on it. That's not for anybody to take personal, but if you do, you're probably guilty. The whole point of me saying this is, I've had to admit when I was wrong a whole lot. Like a whole lot. And I don't have no problem with doing it. Like, even if I'm wrong now, like I voice my opinion strongly about, a person that I feel strongly about. Even if I'm wrong, I gotta go and correct that. That comes with humility. Okay, I was wrong with this. What do I need to do to make this situation right? Are me and you cool? All right. And cool, everybody gotta be, everybody gotta have their barriers, their distance or whatever. And so, whatever the case may be, we all have to understand that this beast is not our friend. And at some point, people have to recognize, because if I was the only person saying this or seeing this, then it wouldn't be important. But some of the same people that I've, helped in the past, or, have been associated with in the past, they see the exact same things that I see. One person was talking about the 7 Mountain Mandate. A lot of people don't, they may not think nothing of it. But who's behind it? And people trying to blame, oh, it's right wing, no, it's MAGA, oh, it's this and it's that, instead of looking at the grand scheme of things. Like, people trying to point blame. And that's why I'm saying, like, people can be guilty by association without even knowing it. I believe it's real and fake everywhere. You can go to the ghetto and find spirit-filled believers. I'm not saying they're going to be acting and looking like everybody else. Like, I've seen, with an example of my friend last night, it's people that come from the hood that got certain experiences that, God has greatly anointed. And so we got to understand where a person is or what color they is, that don't matter. I've understood that my whole life, but yet people have tried to project racism on me or project that I'm a leftist just because I claim that I voted for Obama, even though I said time and time again I voted for the man specifically because he was black. I was 18 years old, and my reason for not voting since, which, if you agree or disagree, it's my decision by law to make that decision. But also, as people say, they feel like I shouldn't have an opinion on politics. With that being said, the reason why I take the stance that I do is because I realize that, well, I have changed some of my stances, but the reason why I've taken the stance that I have is because I don't see, even when a person who looked like me in there do things necessarily to benefit people that look like me. And so that is the issue that I had. Then I start paying close attention as I start being around certain people, start gaining more wisdom, and I'm like, okay, I got to go with these internal feelings that you be giving me. Those are unctions, and I had to understand that. But all of that came with training, growth, and development. And the only thing that I'm saying is, pray for the president. But if a person's saying, okay, Devin, you do X, Y, and Z, so I can't be around you, I got to pray for you. But with the president, hey, whatever he do is right. Whatever he do, and I'm like, no. But that's one thing to be able to say that whatever he do ain't right, but a lot of people ain't willing to itemize, but you want other people to itemize certain things. I ain't gonna address clowns no more because it's people that play around with this stuff too much, but it could be, I don't know how many years off this stuff is. The fact of the matter is, anybody that they put in there is conditioning people to go towards a certain direction, and we have to understand that. They keep talking about peace through multiple people, and President Trump has been one of those people. He has gotten a Nobel Peace Prize. And so it's just some things that, unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with, or the people that we love and different things, they're going to suffer the consequences. There's going to be a lot more confusion. And as I've, said before, quite possibly a civil war. A lot of people have said this. And I believe that is likely to take place because people hate Trump. People hate Donald Trump. I don't know why. I don't hate that man. I think he's actually comical. I think he's funny. He's probably one of the best presidents we've had, to be quite honest. Not just because he's funny, but the fact that he puts America first in the eyes of the people. And so those are the things that I speak positively on the man about. But we have to understand that anybody who sits in that chair can be and will be used quite possibly to fulfill an agenda. And so that's something to pay attention to, regardless if it's your political organization you're associated with. No matter if one of the biggest pastors in the world decides to run and, become a candidate in the near future, like, no matter who it is, we have to understand that if somebody gets into certain positions, they're going to be used to program people to think a certain way, believe a certain way and giving them something else in return. Just like my example with COVID. Peace.